Hello, it is mid-September 2024 and I'm in Glacier National Park for what's planned to be a 5-day backpacking adventure. My route will take me along Bowman Lake, up the hole in the wall, across Boulder Pass, and then down Kintla Lake. I'm getting a little bit of a later start than I had anticipated today, and a few drops of rain are starting to fall, so I'm looking forward to cranking out the 7 miles to camp, and it's time to hit the trail. Two deer walking down the road at the very beginning. Already wildlife out here in the North Fork. There are quite a few colorful berries remaining this late in the year, including the red Canadian bunchberry, the blue bead lily, the red bearberry or kinnick. The rain appears to have stopped and the sun is poking its head out, but the damage is done. All the vegetation is soaked in precipitation, which means that as high as the vegetation is as high as I get wet. The purple-blue Oregon grape, or creeping mahonia. The white of the common snowberry. Big thank you to my new buddy Paul, who gave me a hitch from Kintla down to Bowman, and he promised he would return to Glacier with his son next year for a backpacking trip. Until then, thanks, Paul. The bright red of the Solomon's plume, and the pinkish fruit of the wild rosehip. The shadows on Rainbow Peak are growing long, and I'm still an hour from camp. Home sweet home. Made it to a beautiful Bowman campground with some sun still left in the sky. Just enough time to get hung up and get set up. This'll be the site for me. A nice sheltered site with good privacy.
Glacier has 65 backcountry campgrounds, each with communal food areas and pit toilets. Every campground has between 2 to 7 individual campsites. Permits are required.
All set up on the shore of Bowman Lake. Time to get some dry clothes on and then eat some dinner. On this trip, I'm using the Glacier and Waterton Lakes Nat Geo map number 215. Let's take a look at the map for day 1. From the foot of Bowman Lake, I followed the Bowman Lake Trail up to the Bowman Lake Campground. Day 1 was about 7 miles. Day 1 in Glacier National Park has been a good, solid start to my trip. The hike along Bowman Lake was through a really spectacular forest. Although I did hit the trail later than I wanted, I was able to make it to camp before sunset, which was good because I was a little bit nervous about hiking alone in dusk in grizzly country. I'm settling in, and that'll be the end of day 1. Good night. Good morning. Made the day 2 in Glacier. Had a big drenching rainstorm come through last night, but the temperature stayed pretty warm, only dropping down to the low 50s. Today is my most challenging physical day of the trip. It's only about 9 miles, but I'm gonna rise over 3,000 feet of elevation from here at Bowman Lake, past Brown Pass, up to Hole in the Wall. I'm looking forward to the great views that I should see down into the North Fork area once I get up to those higher points. And it looks like the clouds are trying to break, so it may be in for a beautiful day. I've got breakfast in me, I'm gonna get camp packed up, and it'll be time to hit the trail. I always hate putting on my wet, cold, clammy clothes in the morning, But even if I were to have a dry pair, it wouldn't matter, because within the first 5 minutes on trail, they would be wet from the vegetation. Really pretty forest, hiking along the Bowman Lake trail. Lots of moss, lots of lichen, lots of mature trees, lots of greenery, lots of moisture, and we're getting the first rays of the sun drifting down through the canopy. An old bear scat with some slugs in it. Looking up at Boulder Peak. My next 2 days will be rising up to the side of it and then looping around. My first several miles of trail today has been very gentle, but for the next stretch I'm climbing approximately 2,000 feet up, so a bit more rowdy. Starting to earn some stunning views of the surrounding mountains as I rise up out of the tree line. Looks like there's still some fog sticking to the upper reaches, but the sun is really trying to burn through, and that would be nice to dry me out. As promised, making my way around the side of Boulder Peak. Closing in on the high point of Brown Pass. I'm gonna plan on going to the Brown Pass campground to eat lunch before finishing off the rest of my day to Hole in the Wall. I last hiked through Brown Pass nearly a year ago on my 9-day northern loop route. I approached from the east. Now I've walked through it the other way today, coming from the west, as I continue on towards Hole in the Wall. Looking back at Thunderbird Mountain, towering over Brown Pass, fall colors are starting to pop up here at the upper elevations of the park. It's turned into a beautiful day today. My first view of Bowman Lake since leaving the shores this morning. Big, broad, U-shaped glacial valley. Around every corner out here is a new view. Spectacular scenery. Breaking off to Hole in the Wall, a little over half mile till camp. Hole in the Wall sits down in this big bowl. This cirque, the head of a glacial carving. What a cool area. I am excited to get to spend a night of camp here. The wind's picking up. Home sweet home. Hole in the wall campground, the food prep and food hang. What a special area to get to camp. I'm going to put my food up. It'll be time to set up my wet tent so that it can start to dry out. And this site is antithesis to what I usually pick. It has very little privacy and very little shelter, but I'm seeking out the sun and to a lesser extent the wind to dry out my gear, plus that mountain view.
Glacier's over 700 miles of hiking trails are broken into 7 management areas, including North Fork, the park's most northwestern region.
Tent is pitched, and the wind is starting to dry out some of my gear a little bit. Could be gusts over 30 miles today. Hopefully I don't regret this beautiful campsite. Time will tell. Let's take a look at the map for day 2. From the Bowman Lake campground, I continued on the Bowman Lake trail up to connect with the Boulder Pass trail, and then off the hole in the wall. Day 2 was about 9 miles. Day 2 in Glacier has been an awesome day. Despite not being in the sun for much of the day, I managed to get dried out, and the hiking has been absolutely top notch. The stretch from Brown Pass up the hole in the wall has been one of my favorite stretches of trail anywhere in the park. Hole in the wall is a beautiful campsite up at the top of the cirque. I've got camp set up, dinner's in me, and I'm settling in for a relaxing evening. That'll be the end of day 2. Good night. Good morning. Made it to day 3 of my backpacking adventure in Glacier National Park. Had a calm, restful night last night. Although I could hear the wind roaring around me, it didn't hit the tent too bad, and the temperature stayed in the mid-40s. I've got a bit of a choice today. The one thing that I have to do is make the short 4-mile hike to the Boulder Pass campground, going across Boulder Pass, which I've heard is one of the most beautiful places in the park. And then, if the weather looks like this, I'll probably hang out around camp. If it clears up and turns into a pretty day, I may go to do some exploring around the Boulder Pass area. Really depends on how the weather turns out. I've got breakfast in me. I'm going to get camp packed up, and it'll be time to hit the trail. A bunch of people in camp were watching a bear on this slope this morning. I don't see her now, but she's probably out there. The first half mile have been retracing my steps along the hole in the wall spur back to the Boulder Pass trail. A bunch of us left camp at the same time this morning, so we were able to safely escort each other past the grizzly mother and her cub. They are a nice far distance away. Best way to see a grizz. A bit of an intimidating day in the sky. We'll see how it develops. There's my trail across the scree slope. A really unique landscape here up above hole in the wall. A few little cascades, water flowing through, maybe left over from the other night's storm. Hopefully no additional water gets dropped down today. Looking back at Mount Custer and the hole in the wall basin. You can see where the glaciers just carved out this cirque, multiple layers to connect down with the big glacial valley. All this land would have been covered by ice, except the very peaks of the mountains. Down through the middle of the hole-in-the-wall basin is the trail that leads to camp. From this vantage point, I can look down on a lot of the places I traversed over the past day. Brown Pass. Right there is the intersection leading down to Hole-in-the-Wall and up to Boulder Pass Trail. An awesome little pond up here. Windy. And there's my first look at the crossing of Boulder Pass. Looking down on Boulder Pass, this is the way I came up, almost to the top. Leaving the eastern side of Boulder Pass behind, heading to the west. First look at the far side of Boulder Pass. Another absolutely breathtaking basin up here. A little bit of precipitation has started. I'm less than half mile to camp, hoping to make it in and get set up before it gets too severe. The deciduous larches are starting to turn golden up here. Home sweet home. Boulder Pass Campground, the food prep and food hang area. Nice and sheltered here in this batch of trees. I'm going to go ahead and set up quickly before this wintry mix gets any worse on me. This will be the site for me. Of the 3 campsites up here, this one appears to be the most sheltered from this little strand of larches. As mentioned, it's been pretty windy, so I'll take any shelter I can get.
The majority of visible rock in Glacier is sedimentary, laid down under an ancient sea. Boulder Pass contains less common examples of igneous rock, Purcell lava that flowed underwater.
I hope it goes without saying, but heading solo, off trail, peak bagging into the jaws of a winter storm is not going to be the decision that I make today. So unless the weather changes drastically this afternoon, I'm going to settle in around camp, do some resting and relaxing in one of the most beautiful places in the world. And Boulder Peak will still be there on my next visit. Something to come back for. Let's take a look at the map for day 3. From Hole-in-the-Wall, I retraced my steps along the spur and then followed the Boulder Pass Trail to the Boulder Pass Campground. Day 3 was about 4 miles. A nasty little sleet and hailstorm is kicking up. Boy, am I glad I stuck around camp. Time to batten down the hatches. Day 3 has been another great day in the backcountry. Although I didn't get to make it to Boulder Peak, I did get to camp and got set up right before the worst of the weather started. And once that sleet and hail began, I was happy to have a shelter. Even though it was just a couple miles of hiking, it was a very spectacular stretch. Great views of Hole-in-the-Wall, Brown Pass, Boulder Pass, as well as the surrounding craggy mountains and the deep valleys stretching away below them. I've got dinner in me, camp set up, and I'm settling in. That'll be the end of day 3. Good night. Good morning. Made it to day 4, the penultimate day of my backpacking adventure in Glacier. chilly night last night. The lows were in the upper 20s. A big frost on the ground this morning. And even though the sun's been up for quite a while, it has not yet risen above the freezing point. I've got a nice day today where I'll be dropping down in elevation and hopefully finding some warmer temperatures down there. I've got about 11 miles to go to get to the Kintla campground. I've got breakfast in me. I'm going to get camp packed up. It'll be time to warm up and hit the trail. The sun's rays are finally starting to warm things up, although it is certainly not yet warm, as I leave behind the Boulder Pass camping area. Looking like it could be a beautiful day today. Great look at Mount Peabody to the left, Agassiz Glacier on the side of Kintla Peak in the middle, and Kinnerly Peak on the right. Down in the bottom of the valley is the first peak of Kintla Lake. A little sliver showing. Kintla Peak, which is holding on to a dusting from yesterday's storm, is one of the park's 6 10,000 footers, soaring to 10,100 feet. Still a frosted landscape where the sun hasn't yet hit this morning. As I work my way around and down, I can now see what I believe to be the true peak of Mount Peabody. A little shrouded in clouds and dusted in snow, out to the left of Kintla. The last few thimbleberries of the season. They won't be on here for much longer after that freeze last night. I've dropped down about 1,500 feet so far, and I'm now in a mature forest. Lots of big trees, lots of undergrowth, keeping me out of the sun, so it's still a little chilly right now. Upper Kintla Lake is growing. A good reminder to turn around and look back every once in a while. What a difference 3,000 vertical feet makes. Just enjoyed a lovely lunch on the shores of Upper Kintla Lake. Beautiful sunny day today. Come a long way from that sub-freezing morning. Couple more hours of hiking to go. The trail along Upper Kintla Lake has a lot more lakeside views than the trail along Bowman from a couple days ago. I'm loving this sunshine. Approaching the foot of Upper Kintla Lake. Soon to leave Upper behind and make my way down to Lower Kintla. Adios, Upper Kintla. The backside of Kinnerly to the left and Kintla in the middle. Big waterfall cascading through that gap. Through the lodgepole tunnel, first view of the lower of the Kintla Lakes. Reach the shores of Kintla Lake. And there's a little cabin out here. Little ranger cabin out in the back country. Boarded up for the season. They put nails poking out the door in case a grizzly were to try to break in. Home sweet home. Kintla Lake Campground. I'm guessing there are some canoers here because there are a bunch of hard, big coolers. I hope no one carried that in on their back. This'll be the site for me. A quaint site tucked up above the lake. Time to get set up and start to RELAX and enjoy this sun.
Kintla, like many of the park's lakes, is a remnant of its past glaciers. Melt and rain waters filled long, deep, U-shaped valleys dammed by the moraines deposited at the terminus of the glacier's movement.
It's a rare treat to get to set up on some grass and dirt in Glacier. I hope it'll make for comfortable bedding tonight. And while my tent and gear dries out up here, I'm gonna go dry myself out down on the sunny shores of Kintla Lake. Let's take a look at the map for day 4. From Boulder Pass, I descended down the Boulder Pass Trail, past Upper Kintla Lake, to the Kintla Lake Campground. Day 4 was about 11 miles. Day 4 has been an awesome day in the backcountry. Although I woke up and packed up in sub-freezing temperatures, by the time the afternoon rolled around, it had changed into a beautiful, warm, sunny day. It felt good to dry out and get the chill out of my bones. One of the things I enjoyed most about the day was circling around Kintla Peak and getting to see it from different sides. After spending the entire season in Glacier, this will be my last night in the backcountry this year. So it'll be good to settle in and think back over the awesome summertime that I've had in this wonderful, beautiful place. I've got camp set up, dinner's in me, and I'm settling in for a relaxing evening. That'll be the end of day 4. Good night. Good morning. Made to day 5, the final day of my adventure in Glacier. Calm, comfortable, and warm night last night. Barely dropped below 50, a far cry from the night before where I was well down below freezing. Absolutely stunning morning on Kintla Lake today. The fog is rolling off, the sun is coming up. I'm sharing camp with a nice family who let me sit by their campfire a little bit this morning. I'm gonna go about 7 miles to finish off the trip today. It'll take me all the way down to the end of Kintla Lake. I've got breakfast in me. I'm gonna get camp packed up and it'll be time to hit the trail. The trail has taken me away from the lake shore, spit me out into yet another majestic, mature forest out here in the North Fork region. Big trees, well spaced apart. I'm really enjoying this aspect of this area. A couple miles to finish off my adventure. Back out to the serene shores of Kintla Lake. Looks like there could be some weather coming in later today. Hopefully I'm able to make it out. I'm getting closer and closer to the trailhead, so I'm feeling optimistic. Because the sun hasn't yet broken through the clouds, it's actually been getting colder as the morning progresses. When I woke up this morning around sunrise, it was upper 40s. Now mid-morning, it's dropped down to low 40s. Woohoo! Yeah! "5 days in Glacier National Park, done and dusted." I had the full gamut of fall experience here on this trip. Majestic mountain scenery, brilliant blue-green lakes, deep sprawling glacial valleys, a mother grizzly and her cub, a winter storm, a sunny afternoon. Got to experience it all. This trip is putting a cap on my season here in Glacier. Got in the park in May, and although I'll nominally be here until mid-October, I'm heading out tomorrow to spend a week in Yellowstone. Until next time, thanks for tuning into Lane's World. Goodbye. Let's take a look at the map for day 5. From the Kintla campground, I finished off the Boulder Pass Trail down Kintla Lake. Day 5 was about 7 miles, for a trip total of approximately 38 miles.